Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How Will Artificial Intelligence Impact Human Innovation in Future by BIC India. I am Dev, and I would be your host for the evening. Before we initiate the discussion over this very relevant theme of today, I would take the opportunity to introduce our moderator and our eminent speakers for today's session. Today's moderator, Mr. Mukesh, heading the Digital Transformation Department with Big Innovation Center India, and having more than 11 years of experience in operations front, Mr. Mukesh has a hold over the field, extensive knowledge in disruptive technologies, identifying with technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, computer vision, Internet of Things, web apps, AI data analytics, and solution consulting services. With a Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Science, Mr. Mukesh has positioned himself in the organization with combined strong analytical and communication skill. Going forward to our speaker of today's session, Mr. Abdul Rahman, who is head of Big Innovation Center India. He plays a techno-commercial role as a technical advisor and an architect and a commercial lead for Big Innovation Center, where he works to enhance business and lead in technical collaboration across centers in Middle East and India. He brings more than 2 decades of rich experience working in the Middle East, mostly in UAE and Saudi Arabia and India. He is responsible for Pavilion 2.0, which is Big Innovation Center's co-creation platform. As commercial lead, Mr. Rahman is also widening and deepening Big Innovation Center's product and service markets. Mr. Rahman is also Vice President of Education e-Solution Company, which offers futuristic technologies such as artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, and blockchain. He worked earlier as head of professional services and principal consultant with Blackboard and played a strategic role leading the learning solutions, professional services for academic segment, managing various teams from pre-sales, project implementation, and support. We welcome you, Mr. Rahman. Uh, we will introduce our second speaker of the session, Mr. Jay. Mr. Jay joined Big Innovation Center as Chief Strategic Officer in 2019. He is a thought leader who has assisted companies to reach new horizons and put them on par with the rapidly evolving innovative technology sector. Mr. Jay focuses on ideas that affect new age societal and sustainable challenges with innovative entrepreneurial responses to them. Mr. Jay specializes in corporate innovation, emerging technologies, disruptive innovation, new digital business models, digital transformation, and self-disruption strategy. Mr. Jay is also the founder and CEO of Growth Grids Advisory and Consulting, which nurtures startups and supports established corporate organizations in the innovation technology sector in India and in ANG region. I would like to welcome our moderator as well as our eminent speakers for today's session. Over to you, Mr. Mukesh.
Thank you, Deb. It's a nice day to be discussing about artificial intelligence and how it will impact the human innovation in the future. So if you look at it, humans have been innovating ever since humans existed. And the term artificial intelligence was coined in the 1950s. Until a couple of decades ago, we were using regular telephones, then onto mobile phones. And our mobile phones were not smart back then, but now we call them as smartphones. It's because our mobiles have become capable of understanding and processing information and reacting to it. Let's see where artificial intelligence and the human innovation intersect. So let's start off with our first speaker and take the session ahead. Jay?
Yeah. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you, Dave. And thank you, my colleague, Ms. Abdul Rahman. And thank you for all the participants being present today to hear us from our experiences. We would like to really discuss about artificial intelligence and the impact of artificial intelligence on human innovation. Subsequently, we will also really, focus on, artificial intelligence advancements into the horizontal breadth. As Mukesh asked the question, if your question is, I heard correctly, what would be the intersection of human innovation and
Yes.
artificial intelligence look alike? Is that correct, Mukesh?
Yes,
Yeah, good.
exactly.
So, yeah, so to really, elaborate more on that, first of all, I would like to really explain a little bit on the terminology of intelligence innovation, because nowadays these words are confusing among all of us. So in my perspective, intelligence is the capacity to do the right things at the right time in a context where doing nothing would be a worst proposition. So it brings in that intelligence. So the intelligence is the capacity to perceive the contexts for action. So whenever there is a specific context for action, intelligence ignites. That is the first fundamental human instinct. And the human intelligence also has the capacity to act to the situational context. And the contexts are always associated with actions which need to be taken up. So that is what the definition of intelligence as such. I would like to also bring to the point of innovation. Innovation is a definition of a new idea or a new method or a new product in a novel sense, which is an existence or extension to a solution which is already prevailing. I will like to really quote, as you have indicated, the human innovations stating, electricity, steam engines, to telecommunication devices, to mobile phones that you have mentioned. So humans are always innovative in our evolution. We have seen evolutions have come through a long way. So innovation in the modern terminology, if we really look at it, technology-driven innovation, which we are more focused nowadays, we could really see one substantial innovation that has happened in our lifetime is the iPod. Apple has brought in the iPod, which is, bringing the music while you walk, or
Yep.
bring the music along with you wherever you go. This is a convenience, which is, we all like music. But then, iPod has revolutionized the ability to carry what you like. That is innovation. Music is known, gadgets are available, but ensuring that, music is embedded in a device which we can carry all the time. That is one example. And then extending that example, the other convenience of human living, we have seen the ride sharing platforms such as Uber. Uber has created the convenience of making availability of the vehicle at your location, at your time, with your own interest. This was never happened. So this is innovation. We all know, we have used, the mobility in other sense, but Uber has really disrupted and created a new innovative approach for the convenience of the society and the people who make use of it. So that's a very smart mobility innovation. So innovation can be one more definition. And we have also seen, we are all, wanderers. Humans are always wanderers. We travel from place to place, and over the last 30 years or so, travel has become so significantly easy and meaningful. So migration of people has given the possibilities of human exploration much larger. Now, in such a situation, in the recent past, in the last not even 2 decades, we have seen Airbnb, which is another technology innovation, hosting you at your desired location with your own desired cost. This is absolutely available prior A and B, but the way that they have articulated at your budget, with your convenience, and the unknown places are also becoming possible to explore. So this is what I call it as an innovation. So there's a subtle difference between intelligence and innovation. So to answer your question, what would be the intersection of human innovation with artificial intelligence? The artificial intelligence is artificial. We all have to really understand it is not, you know, completely human centric. So the ability of artificial intelligence will enormously augment the development of human innovation, and we see quite a lot of support will happen to the human mankind in a right manner. So
Great.
hence I call it as innovation is just not having an idea, but executing the idea so that it creates a larger value for the society.
Very well said. Thank you,
So
Jay.
this is,
Yep. Now let's hear the views from Abdul.
that's
Thank you, Jay, for the wonderful beginning. I'm always delighted to hear different views when I'm talking about AI or when I'm listening about AI. And there are different aspects of AI. As we know, there are so many. It's become the most talk term or kind of a hype in these days, and where everyone is talking about AI and innovation. So there's a lot of proliferation of the data that comes into a normal user these days. But where do we connect? As the question says, what would be the where we as human would connect with AI and what it could be. So I think it's a very interesting question to respond. And definitely, we have seen machines have been start to fill up jobs where we have been working traditionally for several decades. For example, the driverless car, for example, which Google is working, for example. So you have a lot of these things that's coming out which are replacing humans. Definitely, technology is there. AI will be integrated with most of the different aspects of our life. So how we work, live, these days, there will be a lot of things that will change. Not only that, definitely improving new efficiencies, enhancing the human capability or capacity to perform tasks. AI will be, a key factor. So I definitely think that definitely AI would change the way we are currently looking at maybe the shorter horizon of 2030 or maybe 2040. So there's no doubt about it. AI will have a kind of augmentation in our day-to-day activities, and the trend is that definitely with AI and or specific, as we know that AI, in general term, you have specific narrow intelligence, and you have these days we talk about ML or machine learning, which is very specific, specific tasks that's performed for particular treatment. For example, treatment of any kind of illness, okay, or face detection, okay, or retina scans we have been doing. So these are the different specific of AI we have seen, which is very useful, and this trend will continue, okay, and aid what human has been doing for over the past few years. But and then definitely going giving the the initial the journey where we started. For example, I mean, we talk about for example, 20 years before, so we have seen, what was the, things, especially when we talk about 20 years before, there was nothing, right? So there was nothing 20 years before where we just started to use mobile phones, and we have just the advent of internet that gets started. So just a matter of 2 decades, you have seen a lot of changes that has come to the fore, and it's going to impact. And I think definitely there are many areas will impact. Okay, especially with the AI applications, for example, computer vision, voice recognitions, translations, medicine. And I would like to quote here, one of the point notation from Andrew, who is again very known, well-known name. So he mentions it's difficult to think of a major industry that AI will not transform. This includes healthcare, education, transportation, retail, communication, agriculture. There are surprisingly clear paths for AI to make a big difference in all of these industries. So definitely, as we know today, where AI stands, ML is the one of the major branch that's being implemented. And definitely, when we talk about ML, and I would like to discuss some of these points, especially for the education segment. So today, education is the next sector bound to be redefined by AI. This is true, especially through the adoption of machine learning, which will further branch out into a supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced learning. And we'll see how these first 2 categories will tackle through the provision of preventive and corrective interventions, respectively. And reinforcement learning, on the other hand, works out on a concept of dynamic path-based rewards, learning tasks and skills achievement, especially for the education. This again, we are creating some of the systems that are coming for the education. And previous my experience with the education for almost 20 years, and I've seen like started the LMS, which is typically the first generation. Then we have something called the second generation of LMS, again third generation of LMS, which we are right now with the AI. So definitely, I think these different process of the e-learning era, I would say. So we can see a lot of these institutions or schools are still at the e-learning 1.0, which is basically the basic fundamentals to provide the content on the platform, and then the consumers or the students or the faculty will use that content. So again, it's a similar situation for many of these, which is the COVID-19 has pushed a lot of these schools or institutions to go towards that e-learning 1.0, which was available almost 20 years ago, right? So there are a lot of people who are still grappling with the adoption of these AI, and there are still which is AI powered LMS, which will come to the discussion. So definitely, AI will impact in the education, and the benefits will be definitely right from the student experience, multiple. Whether there are some points I would like to discuss here. So some of the points we have noted, for example, AI will change the student lives by providing a deep insights into academics and extracurricular activities, which was missing so far. So there will be a lot of data that's available for someone to understand whether the students are learning. For example, if you see nowadays, the system will show, means some of the collaboration tools will show you that out of my 50 attendees, 20 attendees are not paying attention. This was not available before, right? These simple features are available because of the AI. And definitely there is a lot of rewards and awards that can be also part of the success story for students to learn. And it also helped a lot of these prerequisites finding tutors which is not available for a small doubts or assignments support. That can be also made easily available from the AI implementation. I think there's a lot of things that will come on to the education sector. Again, I'm quite keen to see what that could be, and there's a lot of discussions happening how that would help to redefine the new curriculum. Or for example, because I being for example starting from a school, high school, college, university, or PhD, right now there are different institutions, but the time will come, as you've seen, the Google recently announced kind of its own certificates, credits. There'll be no formal qualification required, so one can attend from from grade 1 to PhD at one place or in a single ecosystem. There not be any kind of a change required. So there's a lot of these things that will come up soon. And
so,
yeah.
To understand from your points, I see that, Abdul, that you're telling us that innovation has definitely used technology to improve a lot of things at this time. And in fact, technology has made innovation a little bit easier, in fact. And from Jay's points, I understand that innovation of humans is what impacts the technology itself. And it's the innovation from humans that is enabling the technology to work better. Jay, I believe you had a point to say.
Yeah, just to substantiate what Abdul Rahman has said, this pandemic has brought in, as he rightly mentioned, in the education sector itself. But till now, especially particularly in India, not only the global market, but at least in India, education is a structured way of learning in a contact-based mode. But with the advent of the pandemic, it has pushed everybody to a uncertainty. Again, innovation and coupled with technology and driven with smart algorithms. I will not call it as completely an artificial intelligence, but smart algorithms could able to really bring about the way people are able to continue to learn. And one success story which I would like to really mention from this point is the BIJUS, the Indian company which could able to really change or revolutionize the way children learn education with embedded intelligence, AI, and machine learning and deep learning. So it's a personalized learning activity. So I think artificial intelligence is more or less is prevailing in our walks of life, but the way it is being adopted as of now is a kind of in a kind narrow mode of artificial intelligence. We will see the adoption of AI in a much more broader sense into various other sectors. That's
Nice.
what I want to really recognize.
Very well said. Very well said. Let's take a poll from the attendees right now, and from the poll, let's go ahead and see how AI has reinvented the way that humans invent nowadays. Deb, can we have the poll? Yep. Let's have the poll open for another 30 seconds, and then let's proceed with the next point of discussion, how AI is reinventing the way humans invent. We will have 2 other polls in between based on the topics. And thank you all for your response. All right. Let's have another 15-minute discussion for the next topic. Great. We have the answers to the poll. I hope everyone can see the screen right now. And it looks like you've all selected that humans and artificial intelligence can be partners and work together.
Oh, it's very interesting to note 11% of the participants have said AI is going to be competing with the humans, which is very interesting. So guys, throw us as many as questions at the end of the session. We'll be excited to know what you are thinking about the rivalry of artificial intelligence against the humans. It's very interesting. Thank you, Mukesh. Yeah.
Yep, I believe the 11% have been very big fans of the Terminator.
No, it's very good. So we have a very good mix of participants. Thanks for everybody for taking it up. Yeah, let's continue. We have the limitation of time.
Yes. Yeah. So would you like to start now, Abdul, on this topic? How artificial intelligence will impact the way humans invent?
Yeah, it's again kind of a sequel to the previous question. So definitely, I will touch upon it. So it's again a wide area, as we know. The humans will be, inventing much more. But specific, I would like to discuss on today's session about the drug discovery. For example, so specific use case. So just think how it was maybe few decades from now. It took years, to come up with a kind of a vaccine. And with so much of technology available today, we are still waiting for the, I think, end of 2021 or something, mid next year, to get a vaccine for COVID-19. In spite having all the quantum computing, power and all the neural network, still you can see we are not able to produce kind of a one specific vaccine for COVID. So definitely, I would say it's not the case. It should be 20 years before, but definitely it's improvised. So if AI was not there to reinvent, definitely we would have taken more time to come out with a kind of a solution for this COVID-19. And definitely there's no straight path towards the way it has been. Like again, it's a many innovation there'll be kind of happening in terms of the journey. And definitely innovation is unpredictable, as we know. So it's not very well defined. So innovation itself is not time as such. So definitely without that, we are not sure exactly when and how that AI would help, but definitely it's helping in terms of right from different aspects of right from recognizing patterns to where we can lead to equipment failures, or kind of uh, to for example to pinpoint a problem, or maybe to be autonomous vehicles that can analyze the data from other vehicles and sensors. There are different use cases, but and again, the health sector, or for example, the drug discovery, a lot of improvements have been done. Having said that, with the computational power, as I mentioned, coupled with the AI, and that has definitely helped the pharma industry, which is again having a kind of a small, I would say, kind of a resource crunch in terms of the skill set, to help in terms of the R&D and kind of increasing the efficiency with the AI. And definitely with the AI powered kind of drug discovery, you will find big companies, I think maybe 2 or 3 companies that will come out, which will be, coming out with a vaccine for COVID-19. Definitely, so AI will help in terms of the vast amount of data manipulation, data sets, and I think COVID-19 has seen a very, I would say, beautiful use case of AI, from identification of cases to treatment to for example, now drug discovery. So you see, the whole gamut of application of AI, especially for the medical application, is you have seen through the AI. Okay. So I'm definitely, I will say it will revolutionize the development process for the drug discovery. And I think I've heard about, for example, neural lace, which is a wireless brain computer system that would add as a digital layer of intelligence to our brain. It's a concept right now of land practice that they have been working on. So definitely, as AI, that will that will go a far long way in next 20 and 20 to 40 years. Yeah.
Very well said. Abdul, in fact, I liked one of the points you mentioned about how it's impacting the pharmaceutical industry. I recently came across companies who are using artificial intelligence to identify damages in the tablets that are being manufactured. Imagine 1,000 tablets just flying through you in a minute on a conveyor belt. And there's an artificial intelligent machine that looks at it and finds out if the tablet is cracked or if it's not formed properly. So yes, what you said is very true. In fact, right from manufacturing up to dispensing and even disposing of medicines, artificial intelligence is used. And a lot of companies have started using artificial intelligence to recognize if their employees are wearing masks, which I believe none of us are today, since we're working from the comfort of our own homes. Let's see what Jay has to say further about these points.
Yeah, good. See, look, we are transversing from intelligence to innovation. Now we are talking about innovation with innovation. Invention to innovation. So I think all of us has to really again understand what is invention and what is innovation. We all are aware that the human race has benefited from the invention of fire. With the help of fire, human race has came out of the caves and then started living in the open spaces, and then the progression of human evolution has happened. So invention is an ingenuity of the human nature. Now, invention can refer to a type of musical composition. We have seen the notes are available. The combination of the musical notes will create a invention of a different type of music. The notes are the same, but the way the people invent is phenomenal. That participates the human ingenuity. So creativity plays a very important role for the foundations of invention. Now, without creativity and without the necessity, invention cannot happen. So the sense of invention most likely to be, should not be confused with innovation. In fact, innovation is an extension of the existing, or extension to a process, method, or a product, but invention can be altogether new. As you said earlier, Mukesh, telephones are invented. So, telephones are invented. That's a word we use. Then telecommunication has extended. Then the smartphones are extensions of the mobile cellular phones. Now, with the availability of the invention of telecommunication, we have seen satellites. We could able to really, innovate and then capture a different perspective to the human usefulness. So, invention is a very important gadget, and to an extent, even our today's topic, is artificial intelligence is going to impact the way human innovation is going to happen in the future. That's the theme that you have really asked us to participate. So here, invention plays a very important role. I think invention can happen in a systematic manner. All of us have seen the research and development entities within the corporations, within the countries, and within the societies are well established to invent what is useful for a larger good to the societies on this earth. So, research and development is a part of invention methodology, and invention always follows a rigid, systematic process and approach to invent which is not existence. So, artificial intelligence has the ability to churn out large big data coupled with machine learning. If you have volumes of data, then machines can able to understand the patterns much better. So once if the big data is available, machine learnings will able to really churn out patterns of the data. Now from the patterns of the data, neural networks, which is what we call it as a deep learning, can able to augment and support the humans as a augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence.
Understood.
Yeah, so I foresee, I think it will be not artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence, which is going to reinvent the way most probably the humans will invent. Okay, taking the case of AR, which is he has rightly, he has touched upon the healthcare. Healthcare is the most sophisticated advancements that we have seen in the last decade. Today societies are living longer than earlier, and we could able to really prevent most of the diseases and cure diseases. And we have seen in the last 20 years or so, technology driven healthcare interventions, such as precision medicine. Now, precision medicine is a very foundation of IBM Watson. Nevertheless, IBM Watson uses not only the artificial intelligence, deep learning, and neural networks, but application of the algorithms are again created by humans only. You cannot make the machines. It has not come to that stage where machines will able to really self-learn themselves and then create a new intelligence out of their own learning. Still,
Very true.
human intervention is very much needed. That's the reason why I say augmented intelligence will definitely reinvent uh, along with the humans.
In fact, what you mentioned, not only for the industries like pharmaceutical, humans, like you rightly said, are inventing algorithms that will make their lives easier. In fact, I could give a very simple example of a very simple restaurant in the southern part of India who use data. They use the data of the cost of vegetables all through the year. And after a couple of years of data, they were able to assess and buy the right vegetables at the right season to maintain their costs low. So this was a very basic use of the data itself. And now you have algorithms. This can be processed through those algorithms, and the system can tell you what to purchase today. So yeah, like you rightly said.
In fact, I would like to really quote, the supply chain logistics to 7-Eleven stores in the US, okay, any departmental stores now takes various inputs like weather forecast, national games, national politics. Then they do a demand analysis of the predictive algorithms of the demand supply chain. So they predict the demand well in time and make available the necessities to the local areas. So what you have said is being practiced along with the weather as a input to it, because that's a kind of intelligence. That's a kind of when you said smartphones from 2005 onwards, when the smartphone evolution has happened. Now, knowingly or unknowingly, all of us are giving enormous amount of data to the ISPs. Okay, without not knowing where we are going, what we are doing, what activities we are performing. This smartphone is capturing your minute to minute, living standards. Now, this entire data is being captured, and this data banks, which we call it as data lakes. Now, these data lakes are churned with algorithms, with deep understanding, and we can able to really create predictive analytics to a greater extent. Take the case of Amazon. Today, the moment you go into the Amazon shopping cart, if you are looking for a particular product of your known identity, it will also help you to really see 10 other products which are discovered for you. The moment you log in with your, registered profile, it will tell you what you bought and what others has bought. So data churning happens.
In fact, I experienced a very similar thing. In Amazon, I bought a product for my child when he was 2 months old. And after 2 years, Amazon still suggests products for a 2-year-old kid because it understands that I have a kid who is 2-year-old right now. So yes, what you say is very true. I believe right now, since we are still in the very beginning stages of AI, this is still being used only by humans to make it an advantage for humans. And let's go.
Yeah, it's a narrow stage approach of applications. It will go into a kind of wider space applications soon, but quite a lot of ethical values, data trusts are going to really play in. So there's altogether governance issue is going to open up where BIC, is participating with the UK Parliament in advocating what kind of governance rules as a society we should have while implementing these emerging technologies. So it's a very interesting topic. I think it is the scope beyond this session. I think participants are also, but well, definitely, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would like to just to add one point here because we are comping definitely. I've seen one of the recent kind of hot news on the that AI is inventing, as you mentioned, cannot invent, but definitely with Dr. Stephen Taylor. I think this news is there quite recently. So Dr. Stephen Taylor, he has filed for a patent actually about this DABUS. This is a system. What it does, it basically generate inventions. Okay, it generate inventions. It's an AI system, and it generate invention. And he has applied that AI is the inventor. So I think U.S. Patent Office and EU Patent Office has rejected the offer. I mean, so the patent application saying that definitely it should be a natural person, the inventor. So there's again, we are seeing these such cases which is coming up now that AI itself is inventing, and there's a patent being filed, by Dr. Stephen for in the name of that AI, Davis. Okay, he's the inventor, which is an AI system. So I think more of such interesting cases, as I mentioned, would come up, and then there'll be a lot of regulatory issues, kind of ethical issue, inclusiveness issues will come up, and I think as you mentioned, the future discussion might be quite helpful. Yeah.
In fact, even I believe a lot of scripts, poems, sonnets are being written by AI right now.
Yeah, because today, one of the success stories of narrow AI is speech recognition.
Yeah.
Now, no more writers are writing, writers are talking. And the AI and the huge data is correcting their language and the phrase and the kind of, approach. So, such kind of applications are very much available, and they have perfected to a greater extent.
Yes, I will share one more example. Sorry, I will say one more example which I have seen myself. Actually, there's a media company, which have given it to me. So as you mentioned, the writers will, speak or create. So I've seen a kind of a marketing or a media company, giving your own like a branding. Like for example, if I'm the speaker, I would like to convey a welcome message to to Mukesh and to Jay. There are 1 million kind of prospects I need to reach out. So the AI has done such a way of packaging. My personalized welcome message will go out to each individual, each individual person as a video message, and I'm not doing it. It's AI was doing it. So it's taken my picture, multiple, like how you do mail merge, for example. We have seen mail merge, so it's a video merge, I would say. So you have a text, you have an audio, both is submerged, and it goes to multiple kind of prospects. So it's like a customized. You're talking about you're getting a kind of a call from Bill Gates, but it's not Bill Gates. Okay, so it's something like that which is also coming up, and it's very interesting to see such applications. Yes, Jay.
I understand that there's a lot of interesting topics going on. In fact, I myself would love to put forth a lot of examples, but since we are running short of time, let's go ahead with the next poll right now and then continue our discussion.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
You'll have 1 to 2 minutes to answer this poll, and then we'll proceed with the main subject of the day: how artificial intelligence impact the human innovation in future. Wow, it's surprising to see that no one thought financial services would be impacted by AI. In fact, I think some examples we gave by assessing the hotels and the 7-Elevens, that is going to impact their financial services, in fact. Anyways, it is nice to know that 73% of you think that medicine is the one that's going to have a lot of impact with AI. Mobility, I believe, is the key to get all the data. Anyways, let's proceed with the topic of how artificial intelligence will impact the human innovation in future, the main subject of the day. and then let's go for a conclusion from there. So,
Yeah.
who would like to start?
Jay, would like to go?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, look, well, I think today we have very bright participants who have not committed themselves to anything other than the medicine, which is very good. I think today, we are in a kind of situation where now the priority is more on the healthcare and the protection of the humanity than any advancements of the technology or its adaptation. So we all respect the kind of poll results. However, see, one thing what we have to really take into consideration, though the question that you have raised, how will artificial intelligence impact human innovation in future? Is that correct, Mukesh? Yeah, I would
Yes,
like to rephrase a bit for the betterment of the audience. I think it's not going to be the impacting, but it could be much better if we use the word influence. How will artificial intelligence will influence human innovation in the future? Inevitably, all of us are agreed till now in our today's session, some kind of intelligence beyond our own making is working alongside with us in our day-to-day lives. Whether you call it as you are accessing through a smartphone device, or weather forecasting is significantly improved. Now, satellites are being exposed to the unknown territories of the space. We have seen modern technologies like drones. Drones are helping our agriculture industry in a larger benefit. But these technology advancements are influencing rather than impacting. So I would like to really rephrase the question you have asked, Mukesh, for the benefit which I feel. As we have discussed various aspects, healthcare is one of the primary advantages we can able to get back. But I would like to also give upon my thoughts on artificial intelligence is going to act more as a augmented intelligence. Okay, that will support human beings rather than going to replace human beings. Inevitably, human creativity and human touch, that is what we call it as the healing touch, can never be attained by any machine. Nevertheless, we have seen the invention of a method of invention. We have created an invention of a method of invention. That is where the technology is going in. When we completely specialize the invention of a method of invention, then the augmented intelligence will become to its peak. Currently, what we have seen, the artificial intelligence in the lower range of robotics or repeated process automation. So we all have seen the automation in the last 30 years or so. After the Y2K, we have seen a rapid advancement of automation of our human societies. Now, this automation will be shifting its gears from automation to augmentation. That means at the workshops, we will have machines which will augment humans in cooperation with the human intelligence. So automation will change to augmentation.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I believe we already have certain machines that are making lives easier at workshops.
That's
So
correct.
is there a specific machine that you're talking about, a concept or an idea? Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, because we all have seen that majority of the floor shops are going in for precision automation, as we have seen precision medicine for treating the humans. Similarly, for automating of manufacturing anything, precision manufacturing is coming into act. Now, when precision manufacturing has to come into act, we have seen a new emerging technology called Internet of Things. When machine has to be monitored, when machine has to be understood, before it really breaks down or it's functioning of its own, we have seen the advancement in the last 10 years, Internet of Things, that is with the sensory possibility. That means now devices can sense and process the data, and over a period of time, that particular device will have its own intelligence in operating. So what happens by fusing the Internet of Things and the augmented intelligence, all manufacturing machinery and processes will become more risk-free, accident-free, and precision-oriented, defect-free manufacturing. That's one fundamental shift which I could able to really see, not only in one particular part of the entire in the United States of America. The entire manufacturing industry has shrunken because of the automation. So definitely it displaces the human intervention to a larger extent, but ultimately the authority to produce something will still lie with the human hands. So without human, a machine may not able to really produce completely. So in my view, the augmented intelligence will expand its scope from a narrow range tasks, which are currently happening in a repetitive manner, to a wider range of tasks. Even invention in a research and development environment could able to decipher chunks of data to invent something which is not there. So that could happen.
Got it. Great. Thank you for your views. Let's hear what Abdul has to say before I go into the conclusion. Abdul?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was mute. So good to hear Jay, talking about the automation to augmentation, and this is the general belief what we see. Definitely we are nowhere. I know definitely we're talking about Google coming out with driverless cars, but we are nowhere that the car today what we need is there in right next to my home. We are still far, right? So again, I've seen the Google testing, for example. Let's discuss the decision making part as Jay mentioned. So the algorithm which Google is testing, that does not say if a driverless car, I'm there and there's a pedestrian, about to hit. So instead of hitting the pedestrian, it will hit the building. So basically, the AI will decide the person sitting in the car his life is not valuable, or his life is less valuable than the person walking on the street. So this decision has been given to the AI. So such, I think, such fine tuning, I would say, who should live or who should die at the hands of AI. I think it's just, again, that's why I think the future of AI will have a lot of I would say trust issue. For example, who will decide what could be that the chapter will be, for example, the charter, for example, the AI charter, and who will sign it, and what it will have, and who will sign it, basically. So I think in a lot of these, institutions, right, from OECD, World Economic Forum, MIT, inclusive MIT, Eric, and a good friend of mine, there are a lot of things. The AI should help in human value. It should not be more than human value. So how do you control that? How you manage that? It's not as I think the poll said. They have fear that it will overpower humans, but that will not be the case. I think, that's, as Jay mentioned, and we know that human intelligence or human invention is far, far beyond that time. I think will pass our ages, will not be alive to see that age. So I think that will be maybe at least 40 years or 30 years from now. You'll find, the robots will be competing with you, or for example, AI would be competing humans. So it will be like one equal each. So that will be. So now, right now, we see it's in a phase of automation to augmentation, but at a certain point, you'll find that they are becoming superior. For example, humans cannot fly, but robots will be able to fly, right? So such a things you'll find a lot of these trends would come up.
In fact, there is an interesting argument I could put forward. I understand that artificial intelligence is limited to human ability to think. So what I feel is, yes, the robots can fly, they can do a lot of other tasks which we cannot do, but still limited to the task which we can imagine. Like you rightly said, robots have the option to decide who lives and who dies based on the program given to it. So there is a very famous philosophical question. There are 4 men on a railway track, and there's another single person on a railway track. And the train has to go on one of the tracks. Which track would you choose? I don't think humans have still been able to answer a question like that. So when humans cannot go beyond a certain level of philosophical thought process, I believe it would be very difficult to train an artificial intelligence to do it by itself. I think the artificial intelligence will be driven based on the person who is programming it, not based on its own intelligence. The most intelligent robo we can see right now, one of the most intelligence which we can see is a robot called Sophia, who's been granted a citizenship in Saudi Arabia recently. So even in this very advanced robot, you can see certain emotions, you can see humor, you can see whatever is being programmed by another human, not beyond that capability as of now. So I believe when humans are able to think beyond that philosophical point, I think we would also already have the answer to how to control the robots as well. This is a point from my side. If you guys have another argument for it, you can, of course, put it forward.
See, we fundamentally, Mukesh, you rightly pointed out the crux of the limitations of technology, okay, and the limitations of using a technology to the humankind. These are the two prevailing points that you have raised. See, humans are the only species on this earth who have consciousness. Consciousness is a state of mind that the other living creatures on this earth doesn't really possess. Humans have the intelligence, but as you rightly said, and Abdul Rahman has mentioned, the biases. Every human carries his own biases. So sometimes what happens, even, unfortunate to quote, but sometimes human biases also will become limitations of living in the societies. Now, so one way technology will churn out more possibilities than the human being sometimes, but human consciousness, the consciousness of the mankind, will not be attained by a machine for sure, for a longer time. We may not be able to predict how long it is going to really take, but One thing very, all of us has to also realize Hollywood movies and Indian movies also have depicted, like flying saucers are being observed, that is extraterrestrial activities are observed on the human earth. And we have seen Terminator. In the recent past, Terminator has the ability to change and then act according to the context of the situations. Whether Terminator will become a reality in the nearest future, we all have to really wait and watch. But consciousness is one, I think even human scientists themselves are not able to really understand completely.
Very true.
So success and growth won't be achieved by focusing only on technology. Technology is no more than a tool which enables development. But human ingenuity, human creativity is a dimension which is still very human to itself.
Mm-hmm. Great. Is there any other points from both of you, or could I go towards the questions section?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, just to say that, just to the end, like definitely humans are, very good at the, unsupervised learning, and we can see there will be a lot of progress towards the, human level of AI that being, that being done, in the next few decades. So I think that will be, good to see how the human level of AI approach will be, shaping up. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Jay. It was really nice hearing both your views on how artificial intelligence is impacting the innovation of humans in the future. I believe now would be a right time to. Would you prefer to go with the poll, or would you prefer I read out the question, which is come up?
If you have a poll, we'll the poll. We'll finish off the poll, then we will take on the question.
Sure. Here you go. I think poll is there.
Attendees, this will be the last question for poll, and after this, you can start posting questions, and our speakers would answer to it.
I guess most of them have voted, and I think it looks like it's a clear cut, so we can share the results. Yeah, sure.
Wow, that's the first poll which got an unanimous vote.
Yeah, because it's a quite easy one, so I don't think anyone will have a second to think on that. Yeah. Okay, I think we are done with the polls.
All right. So we have two posts so far from the attendees. The other attendees can start posting questions as well. Let me start off with the initial two that I have. There is a statement from one of the attendees named Pankaj. The statement says, artificial intelligence and machine learning empower society intrinsically for achievement of innovation in general. I don't see a question on that, but yes, thank you for your statement. Yes. And there is a question from Dr. Pallavi Roy. But why is it that people say healthcare has been slow in terms of catching up with technology? Let me give an answer from my side personally, and then I'll let one of the speakers as well give you an answer. Personally, I feel that medicine has been catching up fast with technology, but it all takes time. For everything to come out, it takes a lot of time. You get technology first because that is the core thing that people work on. So technology gets released first. And for it to match with a particular industry, it takes a while for the bureaucracy, the approvals and everything, not just from internally from the companies, but also from the governments as well, because they have to make sure that whatever comes out is the right product that humans will benefit out of. So this is an opinion of mine. So let's hear what our speakers have to say for this.
Yeah, so I think just to add on, there's a lot of regulatory, things that goes on to any kind of, technology to be, implemented on medical side. But for example, take a case of virtual reality. So when VR came out, there are a lot of, innovations that it is damaging the eye, for example. So no one was wearing the device, the virtual reality, the devices. So definitely it needs a lot of time, a lot of approvals. Someone should validate who will approve, for example, let's this device is safe or not. There's no body as such in the world. Who will approve? It's produced by HoloLens, for example, or these devices. Who will approve? So there's no body as such. Even for the AI today, there's no central body or kind of a, international chapter. So it's again coordination between these different organizations. So when it comes to healthcare, again, it's again a similar one. So there's a lot of compliance or regulatory issues, and also there's a lot of issues that might come with the impact of the the life itself if the technology does not work or there's a flaw. Okay, so who will take the ownership? There's the same situation what we're talking today. Who will sign off this AI charter? So that's the same thing do comes in today when it is some like a technology like health to be replaced. We have been using with the health information system, HL7 for ages now. Philips systems, Siemens, for example, have been doing for 20 years. It's the same old system we have today. So who is going to change? There are a lot of hospitals, a lot of trainings using the same hospital information system. But how do we, throw out the legacy system in it? Get into a new one. So again, there's a digital transformation, a business transformation. People are talking these days, which is helpful. I hope medical institution will also be part of it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, if I understand the question, why is that people say healthcare has been slow in adaptation of technology as compared to technology being implemented elsewhere?
No, adaptation of technology into the health space.
That's correct. So no, it's a see. Probably, I think Doctor. You said it is from Dr. Pallavi Roy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, doctor. You being a doctor, I presume that you are a medical doctor, and your observation of technology surrounded everywhere, but not in your own faculty of medicine, is intrigued you to ask this question. Fundamentally, we have to really understand one thing. On this earth, the most important living being is human life. Nobody has a right to take it away. It's a God's creation. It's a nature. So societies over the centuries have evolved in enduring, increasing the lifespan of the human race from pandemics to diseases to healthy living to disease-free living. Now, when such kind of ingenuity has come into societies that we live in the past, present, and in the future, I think nobody will have the right to do any experimentation with the human life. Henceforth, as Abdul Rahman has mentioned, there are federated agencies on this earth to govern and control the interventions that humans try to achieve on other fellow human beings for the benefit of a commercial advantage. We have no right to carry out, but I will tell you, being in the technology sector and of late last 15 years more so related to healthcare domain, I have seen such kind of advancements which have been invented and innovated to increase the lifespan of the humanity, minimize the pain, and minimize the disease dispersion. Maybe in India or the area where you are operating or the domain of the outreach that you have seen, technology might not have been visibly available to your naked eye. But today I tell you, open heart surgeries are having 99% of accuracy to sustain. And we are able to really see genomic testing to minimize the pain for the terminal ill patients in case of cancers or AIDS. So humans have invented technologies and adopted for the better usage of the human survival and minimizing the pain. Whereas the proliferation of technology has happened more so in the non-human activities of the societies that we indulge. So it is not visible in the medical fraternity, but I tell you, the kind of inventions are happening and the kind of innovations are happening. And thanks to the governing bodies, within 7 months, they have altered the way the clinical trials needed to proceed for a drug discovery. It used to take 6 years to 7 years in the earlier past. Now we are compressing it to 9 months to 11 months, which itself is but it doesn't mean that we are compromising on anything that we used to really carry out earlier. So I don't think healthcare and medicine is lacking any technology advancements, but we don't really publicize that much than the other faculties of the human societies, Doctor. Hope
Very
that
well said.
answers your question.
In fact, to add to your point, a couple of years before, not even a decade ago, just maybe 5 years ago, it was risky to perform a third open heart surgery on a heart patient. And nowadays, I see doctors performing the third open heart surgery and patients walking away much better than the first two operations. There are technologies using mixed reality where you can simulate the entire experience of the operation before the actual operation, operate on the patient, and come out with the actual outcomes, meaning the artificial intelligence system understands what would happen if they cut the wrong part while operating. So this is being done. This is in fact being implemented and in use currently. But like he rightly said, it is a matter of cost and reach. In fact, it takes a little bit of time to reach everywhere. But yes, very true.
It's not only the cost. Cost is a factor. Majority of the advanced societies will take care of the welfare of the people. Unlike India, where cost is on the patient, most of the advanced nations, the healthcare burden is on the state. So
Yes.
they don't really just hesitate. It's only the point of being 100% complete. Completeness is a challenge even in technology implementation in healthcare. So the moment it becomes complete, then probably carrying out or adaptation of the technology in healthcare. See, today, India is found to be the diabetic center of the world. By 2030, everybody is predicting that India will become the diabetic center of the world. But majority of the technology is improving now to help you to identify at the very early stages. So things are happening very passively, not very actively. Because technology people, we all blabber much. I hope AR won't really mind, but doctors are the second guards on the earth.
Nope.
They speak less.
Yeah. I just wanted to definitely one of the thing that we all are looking forward after 20 years or 30 years or 40 years is quality of life. So definitely the underlying technology will be healthcare or the medical. So quality of life, the AI will benefit. So people are talking about quality of life for everyone. So that is one of the major beneficiary for AI. So I think, as Doctor said, it's slow, but as Jay mentioned, it's take time, and you'll see as the quality of life, people will not need to worry about the job or something, and so I think it's more from the quality of life, the way we live. So it will be visible through the health.
Thank you. Coming to the next question, we have, let's take maybe two more questions. The
Or
first
you can
question.
have, they can speak on the with the mic if they want to speak. That's much be better.
No, maybe no. Let's really take the questions. Yeah.
Sure. On the text. Okay.
Okay. The question says, how can organizations invest in building skills for a workforce that is poised for an AI-ready future? This is from Zaveri.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Jay, would you like to take up the question?
See,
Sorry,
inevitably, inevitably, what we have seen, technology is pervasive, and it is intruding in our living standards. Already, technology inside in your house, whether you like it or not, if you own a mobile, smartphone, technology is inevitable. But one thing, the human instinct is also very adaptive in learning. Now, all of us are quite wary of using the smartphones without not getting educated ourselves. So the primary purpose of using a smartphone is to really contact and connect and collect the required knowledge. So the basic foundations of the smartphone is better utilized by majority of the society which uses a smartphone. Now, coming down to the emerging technologies, this emerging technologies has many adaptations in our life, not only on the personal side, but also onto the professional side. So more and more as time progresses, inevitably businesses will seek for efficiencies, productivities, and growth. As they seek growth, emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, it could be blockchain or Internet of Things, are very much needed. One thing all of us has to be, first of all, be literate about these technologies and the predictable usages of these technologies. Then, if one has to be a participant of being a driver or influencer of the technology, then you got to really understand at a step 2. Otherwise, as a consumption person, you require to just understand what technology is all about. But if you want to participate in the growth process of supporting these technologies, then foundations of these emerging technologies knowledge is very much needed. BICE has articulated various levels of training programs for all the beginners to advanced users in understanding the deep usages of these technologies, and you can able to get certified in those technologies which you feel you have an appetite to deep dive. Now, mainly the people comes from STEM technologies, mainly science and technology faculty, or to anybody. we have various levels of programs that one can able to really look forward to reach out to BIC. Yes, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's it. I think so. I think just to answer, I think doctor's question, I can just saw her message that she's a dentist. So I think in the from the medical point, which is just answering a few minutes before. So with the dentist, I think I can see a couple of technologies that can help her. For example, one is the 3D printing technology, which is quite useful in the in the dentist side, and also the virtual reality, which can give a visualization of the kind of a replacement of the tooth as well. So there's a lot of technology, 3D printing, and VR is being used. And I think it's as I think as Jay mentioned, it's not visible. It's not visible maybe, but it's quite available right now. I would say it's many of the institutions I've seen myself using such technology. Again, definitely Mukesh is one of our expert on the panel here as a moderator. So this is available. Yeah.
In fact, there is a dentist currently using VR during dental procedures so that the patients don't feel tired by keeping their mouths open. So there is a dentist who's applied a VR solution in practice.
Yep. Very good.
Thank you. So let me move to the next question. It seems a little interesting from Ayush Rathor. Let me read out the question. It says, in present time, we are limited in our society structure and harmony. We see boundaries, discrimination, racism, etc. around the world. And with the increasing impact of AI in future, will we be able to sustain the human race as these technologies don't have a distinct instinct right now? So how can we assure the future of humankind's safety from preventing AI turning against us? A classic Terminator question for you guys.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, sorry, I didn't get his name, please. What's his name?
Ayush Rathor.
Ayush.
Rathor.
Yes.
Yeah, Ayush Thakur. Yeah, thank you, Rathor. Mr. Ayush. Yeah, Thakur. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, Big Innovation Center, which is BIC, we act as a secretariat within the UK Parliament to educate the governments on ethical implementation of the emerging technologies. Now, as you rightly said, the point of ethical behavior of the societies, which is a core uprising issue globally over the couple of decades, and technology also invented ammunition to a greater extent. There's no doubt about it. So societies are understanding the implications of unknown emerging technologies. So henceforth, what UK has constituted a certain approach in adopting the emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and blockchain by conducting open discussions and citizen participation, along with creating the governing rules. So BIC in UK participate in creating the AI strategy for United Kingdom. Similarly, in India, our endeavor is to participate with Niti Aayog in India in what we have learned over the last 7 years in implementing what I call it as ethical artificial intelligence oriented solutions, even bring them to India. You're true. Any new evolution will bring advantages and associated risks. So as humans collectively, we have to minimize the risk exposure to the larger society. So our endeavor in BIC in UK and India is to participate and make everybody collaboratively adopt what to implement, what not to implement in sustaining the emerging technologies. For your information, Europe is absolutely coming together not to accept adaptation of either American technologies or Chinese technologies straight away onto their societies. So as societies, we have to really emerge much more robust in formulating what we require to solve. I understand it is a very large issue, but yes, advanced societies and matured economy like India is also been watchful about it, Mr. Thakur. Yeah, I will leave it to you because you've been part of BIC UK activities also.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think we have been working with the UK Parliament. I was there, in fact, last year in the UK Parliament. I have seen that we do crowdsourcing of evidence, for example, and stakeholder, because we work on an open innovation 2.0 approach, which is basically getting all the stakeholders, the government, academia, civil society, and the corporate, corporate society. So definitely, with all these stakeholders that Jay mentioned, we form kind of a different framework, kind of a regulatory framework, or I can say kind of a protocol. So we help government as a secretariat in UK, as I mentioned, to support what are the we are the convener there. So we call all of the stakeholders and we gather a lot of evidences, crowdsource evidences, and then we say these are the challenges or risk, as you mentioned, Ayush. So we call for these challenges, and there are evidence givers. So we call evidence givers who are basically in this area, domain expertise or expert. Maybe it's let's say talk about, for example, ethical issues. So there might be a kind of a very specific company who's working on the ethical side or the inclusivity part of the AI, which can give the contribution to the forum, and then we produce as output from the from the program. Because we are working with some of the program I would like to mention here, like a RegTech program, which is coming out in the next month or two. So you'll have UK kind of MP, Lord Team Clement Jones, who will be part of the co-chair, and you'll get to hear from such what's been experienced from the mature, or I can say advanced economies, who has already started tackling such issues, and we can learn from the best practices, I would say. Yeah, so these things will come up, and definitely we'll be glad to share those news as well.
In fact, to add to the point, since we are still in narrow AI, when we come to super intelligent state, I believe by then the machines would as well be able to understand emotions. They would be able to process emotions. They will have knowledge about ethics and philosophies, which I believe have all been returned towards a better society. And if and when we come to that stage, I believe that the entire development is going to be towards a better survival rate rather than a conflict between technology and humans. This is a personal belief of mine.
Yes,
that's
same
true.
here. I think that's correct.
But this is a very interesting topic that need to be elaborated and shared. We will love to really stay in touch with Mr. Rathod, to share our experiences, so he can feel free to write to us and stay in touch so that we can able to share our experiences and our learnings from the other societies too. Okay?
Great. Looks like we had a very wide variety of questions covering all topic ranges, and it was really interesting to listen to both our speakers talk about artificial intelligence and its collaboration with the human innovation. I thank the speakers, I thank the participants for being part of this, and Deb for organizing the whole thing. Big Innovation Center has been doing a lot of wonderful things like this and improving knowledge for the Indian society. Thank you for that, and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you,
Deb.
Mukesh,
Thank you,
for
Mukesh.
hosting us.
Yeah.